On that. I understand that we can go to Anas Sabit, who is in the Bono region. Hello, Anas. We're going to be getting his take. One of the things we want to do for you in the parliamentary, where the dispute is currently, is to break it down so you could follow us in terms of, who has won what. This is the Bono East picture that Anas Sabit is joining us to clarify. You see the constituencies there. Bono East, we've said, is NDC. Remember?
Yeah,
we had projected it. We had projected that NDC will win it. And as the picture has shown, it's panned out.
It is, Evans. But the interesting thing about Bono East is that you're actually expecting the NPP in the parliamentary, for instance, to win Techiman North and Nkranza North, where Major Derek Odro is member of parliament. Now, he loses out in Monday's election, but of course the NPP wins Kintampo South, they win Techiman South and Pru West. Sine West, we're told, is currently in dispute. One or two issues not adding up, and so we cannot bring you results from that particular constituency.
Let's get Anas to give us a breakdown. I'm going to do the numbers. I'm going to do the numbers for you as he does that. Hello, Anas. I know it's been a long, tortuous last few days, but let's try and see if we can settle this dispute with the numbers. Give us a sense of the parliamentary picture now that all the counting is over and we're waiting for the EC to put this all together. But we have a sense of this. Give us a picture.
We have 11 constituencies. Out of the 11, as I speak to you now, we have 10 certified results. One is under contention, like you said, the Sine West constituency. Before the 2020 elections, the NDC had 6 out of the 11. The MPP had 5. As I speak to you now, out of the 10 that is out now, the MPP had 3, and the NDC is having 7 of them. We're waiting for the Sine West to be able to tell the total picture or the complete picture of the region now. MPP lost 4 of its seats it had in 2016, Techiman North and South, Nkranza North and South, and then the Atilwa Mountain constituency. They were also able to snatch 2 seats from the NDC. The Pru West constituency, you have the DC, or the district chief executive, who was the candidate for the MPP, Stephen Jalula, winning that seat for the first time in the party's history in that particular constituency. Same happened in the Kintampo South constituency. The DC for the area, Alexander Jan, also winning that seat for the first time in the party's history in the Kintampo South constituency. So these were the 2 seats the MPP had, and they were able to retain one of the seats they are having. That is the Techiman South constituency. The Deputy Minister for Regional Reorganization, Martin Techiman South, is also going to Parliament. So this is the picture from the Bono East region as it stands now. We have that of the presidential, but this is the parliamentary results I just gave out.
Okay, thank you very much there, Anas, a bit. So that's a picture there, Anas joining us to clarify this. Winston?
Exactly. So, Evans, you know that when the NDC came out first, I just want to put this out, because when the NDC came out first, they talked about winning 9 seats in the Bono East region. They talked about Techiman South, also going to the NDC. Now, from what Anas has told us, it does not look like Techiman South went to the NDC. Let's get the exact figures from Techiman South.
Techiman South. Let's go to Techiman South and parliamentary. But this is the picture there. There's a picture as it stands right now. MPP has 3 seats in Bono East. NDC has 7. MPP has lost 4.
Yes.
4 of the seats they used to hold.
And 1-2 from
from the NDC. But net, they've lost. There's a net loss for them in there. And I want to go to the key thing you're talking about, Winston, which is the picture in
Techiman South.
Here we go. This is the upper east. Let me pull a picture there for you from the Bono East.
Yeah, so this Techiman South. And so Martin Techiman South polls 49,682 votes. That's 50.2% to beat the NDC's Christopher, who polled 49,205 votes. So that's it. But when the NDC held its press conference on Monday night, they talked about having flipped the Techiman South and North constituencies from what the Electoral Commission has declared, of which we have here. The NDC did not win the Techiman South constituency in the parliamentary elections. And so in the Bono East region, out of 10 constituencies declared so far, the NDC has 7 and the NPP has 3 seats.
Okay, so that's the point you made that is important because it has been disputed.
Yes.
I mean, the NDC claimed that they have won it.
Yeah.
We can tell you on authority that they haven't.
They haven't won it.
I mean, and the NPP, in fact, has won it. The margins tell a story. Very, very tiny.
Very, very tiny.
Margins there. I mean, let's do the maths for those who are interested in these numbers for them. Sorry, Winston, let me bring it back.
Yes, let's bring it back.
Let me bring the map back because the map is the only way you get the results.
Exactly.
Here we go. Let's do the maths for those who are interested, Winston.
This is 477 margin.
Okay, so that is 400.
477. So, I mean, let's just do it this way. Let's use this. So that's 682. Okay, so my handwriting. 782, 205, because they all had 49,000, so 205. So what you do is that you borrow one from here, so this gives you 7. Okay, so that's 7. And this is 7, so 7. And this is 4. 477.
So 477 votes difference, and so it was close.
Very close.
And I'm NDC. I'm trying to figure out why they probably genuinely, honestly, may have gotten it wrong. It possibly may not have been deliberate because if it's this close and you are working with polling station results, you may possibly be tempted to project a bit if you have a few polling stations to come. And if it's that tight, it could trick you into thinking in the beginning that you may have won. In fact, remember what we were trying to do the projection last night into this morning. Last night, we thought we could project, but it would be too dangerous too.
Exactly.
Because the margins, the difference between Nanado and JM as of last night, it's like early morning, right? Around midnight, was very close. So do you project or do you give us a certain path to it and come in the morning and be sure, you know? So I'm trying to picture maybe why the NDC got it wrong.
Well, because when results start trickling in, Evans, one of the things about results, when they start coming, and if they're coming from your strongholds, you do a bit of projection also.
Yeah.
And so the projection sometimes is then. If I get this, then I'd win. So in the midst of the if and then and here I am actually inferring that that could be the reason. And so maybe the NDC may have gotten votes from the strongholds of the NPP and felt that the margins were small, and that's favorable to them. But you see, the thing about election laws, and I've always cited the example of the Kojo Smith and Fritz Bafu situation, where Kojo Smith, on the 8th of, in his pleadings at a court, said that on the 8th of December 2008, Fritz Bafu was on Adom FM conceding defeat, congratulating him. But it turns out that he did not win the election. He did not win because a lot of things would happen. So
because even Fritz himself had seen the votes possibly, and thought, wow, but I'm sure it was marginal too.
Yes. So you see it and you think, oh, this is marginal. Okay, so it looks like I am losing out. So I'll give you a typical example. In the Ladadiko-Topon constituency, the MPP's candidate, Gerard Nyanyufio. So I was in touch with his campaign team, and they say, well, according to Gerard, the margins that are coming are huge. He does not think that he'll be able to close the margin. At that point in time, he's conceded. But in elections, you may think you cannot close the margin, and the magic happens somewhere. Yeah, you're gone.
It just need one vote to win. Vote. That's all it takes, and that's sometimes you have to be patient to the very end. Exactly. And it's the only reason why we'll be able to, make a projection based on what we do. I want to go to the Volta region where Ivy Setoji is joining us. I mean, there shouldn't be any quarrel over Volta region parliamentary, elections, because you just know largely NDC, with the exception of the Ameru miracle, in there. And let's pull up our Volta regional map. Here we go. And by the way, this is Hohoi.
Hohoi, yes. So it used to be Hohoi North until 2012 when it was changed to Hohoi. Then Hohoi South became Afajato South.
So here is it. I mean, there is
Bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
There's a picture. There's a picture. I mean, John, Peter, I mean, we'll talk about it a bit more, but there's no controversy in here in the Volta region about who was won and who was lost. But let me bring in our correspondent, Ivy Setoji, who is joining us to give us the numbers here. Ivy, so let's go to the numbers and let's settle it for those who are interested in how the Volta region has voted in the parliamentary elections. Hello, Ivy.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. So in the Volta region, as you rightly said, Ketuno, for example, Aveji Bates was able to beat the Minister for Chieftaincy, a little over 5,000 there. And then that was a little close according to the residents. In Keta, too, the margin was large or big, as well as Anglon. But then what the residents also realized was that the figures or the numbers gotten by these people in these areas by the MPP have increased, according to them. In Akachi North, too, the same thing happened. It was not too close. And now, Ketu South, Mamaga Jifa Gomashi also won. Akachi, the NDC, and then the NPP, that's the DC contestant where a lawyer.
This is the picture there that Ivy was trying to illustrate. Apologies for that bad connection there. Out of the constituencies that you have in that particular part of the country, the MPP has just one of it.
Just one. And look, Evans, you said it. If anybody had told you before election 2020 that the NPP stood a chance of winning a seat in the Volta region following the creation of the Oti region, now it was in 2004 that the NPP won the then Nkwanta North constituency. Okay, and so that was the first time the NPP won a parliamentary seat in the Volta region, maintained it in 2008, lost it in 2012. Came back in 2016 with Karachi East constituency, that's Jato's constituency. However, following the creation of the Oti region, you would have imagined that the NPP's strength would remain in that region and not in the Volta region.
Yeah.
And then Amewu performs magic.
Yeah.
He wins it for the NPP.
This is a miracle.
5,000 votes.
Yeah, and for me, it's not the miracle. It's not so much. Well, it's in the victory, but it's also in the margin.
Yeah.
It's even more so for me in the margin than in the actual victory, because you were expecting him to win, because this is a historically an ironclad stronghold of the NDC in terms of parliamentary and presidential. If an NPP candidate was going to, make history, I was expecting to be on knife edge in terms of a few votes, not even 100, 10 or 20, or sometimes in some cases it boils down to one vote, right? Yeah. I was expecting to be that slim, right? But Amewu wins it quite handsomely. Well, almost 5,000 difference there. He pulls it by, which is significant. They're talking about 26,952 votes, right? That John Peter Amewu secures in Hohoi, as against the NDC's candidate, who was the overwhelming favorite going into the race, who has 21,821 votes.
You're looking at 5,131.
So 5,131. This, for me, this margin of victory by an NPP candidate in Hohoi, it is amazing. I mean, this is something that I guess political scientists need to study. I mean, seriously, you need to go in there and do a bit of a study and understand what the dynamics were. What is it that the people were thinking? But I'm also looking at, in the next 4 years, the retention will be key, right? I mean, this is an island of a sort. It's going to be, he finds himself up here alone, but if you look at the entire region, he's going to be sitting there alone. And I bet the NDC will have to do everything possible to take it back.
The NDC certainly will do everything possible to take it back. But, you know, prior to the election day, voting day itself, you saw the NDC's Johnson Asiedu Nketiah showing up in the Volta region, describing Amewu as a good man, but good men go to heaven and not parliament. You remember that?
Yes.
You also realize that John Mahama went to Hohoe. In his final rounds in the Volta region, he went to Hohoe at the time. The reason was simple. The NDC's own polling showed that John Peter Amewu was a threat to the party's seat in the Hohoe constituency. What they believed they could do was to get the party bigwigs to galvanize the base, energize the base, so that they would turn out in their numbers and vote for them. Now, this is the point. President Akufo-Addo gets 14,000 in this constituency, so he doesn't win.
Yeah, he doesn't win.
He doesn't win.
But I can bet, and we'll look at a picture.
Yeah.
I will look at a picture. I can bet that because of Amewu, he would have improved his actual winning, losing margin from 2016 and the actual votes.
He improved from 2016. He had about 5,000 or 6,000 in 2016.
Yeah. I mean, we can show that.
Yeah, let's show that. He's improved from 2016.
Because this is important to try and digest this a bit more.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing this Hohoe digestion for years to come in terms of we're going to go to the presidential in 2016.
Yeah.
So 2016, this was a situation in Hohoe. It's not showing because then the name was this is Volta region. So Volta you're talking region. About.
So that's Hohoe. There you have it. Hohoe. Yeah.
There we go. So this is Hohoe. This is the presidential.
I told you 6,000.
6,869. So what's the story this year for 2020 in that same part of the country? For the presidential?
14,000.
That is a significant jump from 6,000 to 14,000.
Exactly.
Again, the Amewu factor.
That, no doubt, is the Amewu factor. And so that would tell you, and John Mahama in 2016 has 35,000 and it reduces to 33,000.
It would shrink.
It would shrink because then Akufo-Addo is improving. But this is the whole thing. And if you go to Hohoe right now, I think the NDC should also have realized, when you go to Hohoe, following the party primaries where Professor Margaret Kweku won, there were a lot of party members who were unhappy, even with her selection as the party's parliamentary candidate. Now, John Peter Amewu was DCE, later MCE from 2005 to 2009 when the NPP lost the election in 2008. He contested in 2004, polled 9,000. Now, until 2020, he was the NPP candidate to have had the most votes in the Hohoe constituency. So it tells you that this is somebody who's loved by the people.
Yeah.
And when he came in, and we did the first ballot box from Hohoe, speaking to all the people from Hohoe, many people will tell you that, look, I am not NPP, but I like JP, as they call him. I'm not NPP, but I like JP, as they call him. And I do know, and my sources tell me that even at the presidency, there were instances they said, oh, the people are talking about sketch and blast. Why don't you ensure that they do, they do a purist vote for all of us?
Yeah.
But one thing was obvious. John Peter Amewu was the man loved by the people of Hohoe to become their MP. He had actually done a lot of campaigning on the fact that do not vote because of your attachment to the NDC. Vote for development. And the people of Hohoe
made their calculations.
Yes.
And a final point on this performance in the Volta region. Remember that on Sunday evening when we started election eve, we did some projections and said this year you have to perform better in your candidates in your opposing party stronghold to win the presidential race. We've already projected Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to win. Now it's playing out, and we saw the analysis show that I was going to pull this up shortly. We'll bring that up for you, that particular analysis that we did. But the NPP was on upward trajectory in the Volta region in terms of their performance. They were losing, but they were gaining on the NDC. And their best performance, yes, was 17% of the votes in the Volta region for the 2016 elections. It's clear that that trajectory possibly has continued, and which has fed into their eventual, as we've projected, Nana Addo to win tonight. Hohoe and Amewu's performance, I guess, is just best epitomizes that entire story for you.
Exactly, and one other place you can go, Evans, just to depict that is the Ketu North constituency. And I think we'll leave the Volta in the Ketu North constituency. Watch this.
So this is Aveji. And Aveji is the deputy minority leader there.
And Kofi Jamesi.
The gap, I guess you want to say, has closed. James Aveji has lost ground a bit. Let's illustrate that by going to 2016 and see the story as it emerged there. He's dropped.
Because you recognize that in 2016, Jamesi put 15,000.
Yeah.
And Aveji had 25,000.
Yeah.
He increases, and that was about a margin of 10,000.
Yeah.
And it's reduced to 5,000. And if I were advising Aveji, I tell him the signs are beginning to show.
Step off the scene when applause is loudest. And again, our projection panned out. We said going into this year's elections in the Volta region, the momentum was on the side of the NPP in terms of the gains that they were making. We still expected the NDC to win, no doubt. But our point was, how many more votes can the NPP get from your opponent in his stronghold to add to the ones that you are guaranteed from your strongholds? I want to, so that clearly is what has panned out, as we told you on Sunday night with our analysis, and I'll pull that back up later when we begin to digest this a bit more for you to see. But I want to come to a place that we know very well here in Greater Accra.
Okay, sure.
Let's see the story as it had panned out here in Greater Accra. I want to pull that map for you, the Greater Accra map. Another swing region, always telling you who has won. I want to bring in, this is the pictorial image of Greater Accra right now, as it's panned out in parliamentary. My colleague, Daniel Dadzi, is standing by with the breakdown for us so that we can begin to appreciate who has won what here and who may be in the lead to try and resolve this controversy over the parliamentary. Daniel, take it away.
Hi, Evan. So we have 31 seats out of the 34 seats in the Greater Accra region. And so far, if you look at the cursory tally, the NDC has 18 seats. The NPP has 13 seats. So I'll quickly take you through some of the more interesting ones. Of course, what happened at Ayawaso West Wogon has been trending on social media since yesterday. Lydia Sarah Mahassan retaining that seat for the governing MPP. Another one, of course, that we heard earlier was the Adentan seat. The communications director for the NPP, Yabuabinga Samoa, stepped aside after just one term. Adentan maintaining its reputation there as not retaining members of parliament. Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, of course, would have 2024 to either disprove or prove that particular theory. Amasaman will be interesting, Evans, for your analysis because the NPP has not won there since 2004. And the NPP won that one for the first time in a number of years. That's the Amasaman constituency. Ponkatamanso became quite popular because Hobson Adoye stood there. We all know Hobson Adoye, popular in the among the NPP. Again, Lejo Kuku Benjamin Ayikunate won from Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Again, Lejo Kuku is a constituency that is popular for not retaining members of parliament. Crow finally steps aside, Evans, from being a purist swing constituency. That's constituency that determines who wins. Because according to our projection, Evans, President Akufo-Addo, of course, is in the lead in a presidential, but Crow voted NDC in parliamentary and in presidential. So that's another constituency to look at. Beyond the key swing constituency, Daddy Kotopon, of course, has gone back to the NDC. Joseph Gerald Nyanofio could not repeat what Vincent Odoto-Esowa did the last election. But again, for Daddy Kotopon, the last time the NPP won there was in the 2000 election. So it was always going to be a tall order for Joseph Gerald Nyanofio. Medina has seen the exit of Boniface Siddiq, who was a member of parliament. Francis Xavier Sosu takes that seat back for the NDC. And the number of Tema East is also a very interesting seat because Tema East, Central and West have traditionally always voted for the NPP. But this time round, Daniel Titus Glover was not able to keep that. However, Tema Central saw Eve Hansen Norte winning, and Carlos Ahenkra was able to hold on to Tema West constituency. To be specific, the constituencies we do not have as of now are Trobu, Domiabra, Obom, and Okaikwe North, which we're still working on. But so far, it looks like the NDC has taken an impressive lead here in the Greater Accra region. Remember, in 2016, the NPP ended the tally with 21 seats. The NDC has managed to turn that around so far. Currently, they have 18 seats to the NPP's 13 by our tally. But of course, we have 3 constituencies which we are yet to call as far as the parliamentary results are concerned, Evans.
Daniel, thank you very much. And now, Wingsing, as you was talking, something struck me. One of the things that we're beginning to observe this year is that all the assumptions, all the historical analysis that we know had pertained to Greater Accra being a swing constituency, this year's election is beginning to shatter all the things that you know. Everything that we knew going to this, based on which we've made projections since 1992, is being shattered in this year's elections. But why?
Well, it is very simple, Evans. You've seen the NPP, okay? And we talked about the fact that even if you win the Greater Accra, win the Central region, win the, Western region.
It's not going to be enough.
It wasn't going to be enough. You had to perform very well in your opponent's stronghold.
Again, something we told you on Sunday evening, that this year, Greater Accra may not win you necessarily.
Exactly. And following that analysis, we've seen that the NPP now won in the Northeast region. Of course, we're expecting them to win. They did very well in the Northern region and did well also in the Savannah regions. Now, what this does is that it actually makes it difficult for the NDC because once the NPP is closing the margins in your stronghold, what it means is that you should also be closing the margins in their stronghold in addition to winning the swing regions. And I've always maintained that because of the sheer numbers of the Ashanti region, the Ashanti region numbers alone makes it very, very, very critical in every country's, in every year's election. Because if the NPP wins 75% of the Ashanti regional votes, that's about 1.7 million. And if the NDC gets 25-26%, we're looking at the NDC getting almost 700,000 votes in the Ashanti region. So if the NPP, for instance, and if you look at the margins, has a margin, a difference of about 1 million in the Ashanti region. What that means is that it takes care of the Volta region. Okay, it takes care of the Volta region, it takes care of the Northern region, it takes care of the Bono East region. Then you're left with the swing regions. The Eastern region can take care of maybe Greater Accra and Central. Mind you, the NPP won in the Western region. So that makes the election, totally different from what we have seen in the past years.
Based on our projection, this is going to be the first time in our 4th Republican electoral history that Greater Accra votes for the losing presidential party.
Yes, that's true.
It's never happened before. Greater Accra has consistently voted for the winning presidential party, right? But we have a case here where NDC has 18 seats. We have, 3 yet to come because of the disputes around it. And MPP is the 13th. My point is, even if you give all the 3 to the MPP, they won't make up on the NDC's 18. And yet, we've projected, and the figures will bears out, that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be the next president and retaining it. That, again, is one of those traditional historical assumptions, notions, everything, call it what, that has been shattered by these year's elections. Nothing is making sense anymore. But what I love about the analysis we've been doing and helping our audience to follow is that if you follow that since election eve, this should make sense to you. Because we told you that, remember, again, even in the course of the elections, we did the path to 50% plus one. The first analysis we did, we said, you cannot win this year's elections simply by winning the traditional swing regions of Greater, Central, and Western. And that this year, the opponent strongholds are going to be key. And I'm curious to see what is happening in the Ashanti region. Whether, again, our analysis is panning out. We've seen that panning out in Volta, where NDC is losing a bit of ground again. MPP is gaining. We said, again, going into the elections, predicting that for the NDC to win this year, they need to do 24% or more in Ashanti. I'm curious to see what the situation is there, whether they were able to do that.
From the figures I'm seeing, again, this is going to surprise you and I, because from the figures I'm seeing, it looks like the NDC did about 25, 26% or more in the Ashanti region. And that again would throw out the whole analysis of what you need to do in the Ashanti region to win. I think what has changed the dynamics in this year's elections, and as we predicted, was that you had to perform well in your opponent's stronghold. And happenings in the northeast, and the savannah regions have actually, tilted this election into what we normally wouldn't expect. But one thing I also must add, Evans, is that the MP also won in the central region. Now, while they lost the parliamentary elections in the central region, Akufo-Addo won more votes in the central region. What this tells you, and we've been having that conversation about, what it means when the presidential candidate wins a region and his candidates are not winning. It tells you that maybe the presidential candidate is more popular, or his members of parliament or parliamentary candidates have lost touch with the people.
That point you make there was true for John Mahama in 2016. He was more popular than his parliamentary candidate. It appears that has switched now. I want to go to Tamale right now, show you some visuals, because there's a demonstration we understand currently happening, and you can see the conversations happening. I wanted to listen to a brief into some of the things that, of course, the demonstrators are saying. It looks like NDC supporters on the streets.
And they will declare the results, and we are on the streets. We are waiting and waiting, and as if we are waiting in vain. We are seeing that Joy FM and the media want to massage the election for them. All the media houses, they are in support of the MPP, the ruling party. They are in support of them because they have received monies outside the television. We haven't seen them outside where they have received money, and they are massaging stuff for them.
Are you able to substantiate this allegation?
Yes, we know they have received something. If they wanted truth, they should have followed the right channel. But the way they are dealing with us means they have taken something from the government. And because we are in opposition, we don't have the power. That is what they are treating us like that.
Thank you very much. Sister, me pacho body nature me nienti a wo ba ha area.
Me pacho from me Tayiru Priscilla. Me wa ha in the because John Mama has won the election, and we want the East to come out to declare the results. If not, we are not going anywhere. We are ready to die for Ghana. We want peace. That is why we are.
But if you want peace and you say you are ready to die, marching up in the street, is it not violence?
The media are not telling us the truth because they bought them. They have received bribes. Everybody knows that John Dramani Mahama has won the election fair. 2016, we gave up. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo should give up. He should give up.
And of course, that's a protest in the northern region where Martina is standing by with the. This is happening at the EC headquarters as well here in the Greater Accra region. Listen, the projection that we've done, it is based on numbers, and numbers in elections, they simply do not lie. And we put all our credibility on the back of this. Careful analysis over the time, and that leads to that projection that we did earlier. This is purely based on the numbers that we have collated across the country, deploying all these hundreds and hundreds of reporters who are double checking this just so for you we can be as accurate as we've always been in election year. This is years, 2 decades of experience that has come to bear fruits for you in the last few minutes with the projection that we've done for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo this year. We've done it for all the parties. It's simply you follow the numbers.
Exactly.
You follow the numbers.
And the numbers don't lie. And we have said, based on these margins, it is statistically impossible. We cannot manufacture numbers. And so yes, we can understand that people will be disappointed because their parties have not won elections. They expect them to win. But, nobody bribes anybody to conjure numbers. Not at all.
I want to take you to Eliasu Tankurana, who is joining us in the Northeast region. Hello, Eliasu. Eliasu, thanks for joining us. We're still keeping with our parliamentary map here in the Northeast region. Eliasu, so we see, wow, this is failed completely, right? You don't need any more stories behind it, but Eliasu is on the ground, and so it has a bit more of the intricacies to share with us. Eliasu, I see on my screen more blues than green. What does that translate to in the actuals on the ground?
Well, what it means is that there are 6 constituencies in the region here. And before this particular election, the two parties, the NDC and the NPP, I mean, these constituencies were evenly distributed among these two political parties, with the NPP before this election holding the Wale constituency, the Nalerugu Gambaga constituency, and the Bunkurugu Napanduri constituency. And then the NDC was also holding the Yagaba Kubore constituency, the Chirpone constituency, and then the UU constituency. But with this particular election, both parties lost all their seats, yet won new ones. And this is how it played out. The NDC lost the Yagaba Kubore constituency to the NPP, and that is Mustafa Yusuf. And since 2012, between these two gentlemen, Mustafa Yusuf and Ibrahim Tanko, the constituency have switched hands among these two personalities. Tanko was holding it in 2004, and Mustafa came in around 2012 and took it. And then in 2016, Tanko came back, snatched the seat from Mustafa, and 2020, Mustafa made a comeback with a very huge margin, about 8,000 votes there. And then also in the UU constituency, again, the NDC lost that particular constituency, and used to be the member of parliament used to be the direct brother of the former Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bugri Nabu, and he lost that particular seat to the MPP's Oscar Lewal. And also in the Chirpone constituency, the NDC also lost that particular seat to the MPP Abdul Razak Tahiru. And if you look at the seats that NDC won, they managed to win only 2 out of these 6 constituencies. And that is making news right now in the Northeast region, because the NDC won the Nalerugu Gambaga seat from the local government minister, Haji Alima. And that is a big news around here. And then also the Northeast regional minister and the member of parliament, he used to be the member of parliament for Bunkurugu. He also lost that particular seat. Solomon Boa also lost that seat to the NDC. And so if you look at this joint, and they lost that particular seat, it's a big news around here. And so this is how the whole situation in the Northeast region, and in all, we had about 288,081 votes, registered voters, with about 645 polling stations. And after the elections yesterday, when we were on the ground and we took part in the collation process, and the EC gave us, after their tally, they said the MPP presidential candidate had 122,742, and then the NDC presidential candidate also had 112,306. So clearly, the MPP won this particular seat, Ivan.
Fascinating indeed. And when you get into the numbers and who has won what, it tells you a story. But this is the global picture there. This was where we were in 2016 with sharing equally, right? And then this has flipped a bit because MPP has gained on the NDC in this part of the country.
Exactly. And you know, the interesting thing is that they both lost 2 seats. But while the NPP gained 2 seats, the NDC won. So watch this. Now, the NPP lost the Bunkurugu seat, okay, and they also lost the Nalerugu Gambaga seat.
Here we go.
Yes, so the NPP initially had this and had this also.
Okay.
Now, and that was in addition to this. Okay, so they lost 2 of their seats but gained 3.
Okay.
So they lost Nalerugu Gambaga, lost Bunkurugu to the NDC. But what do? They take the NDC's Yagaba Kubor constituency, take the NDC's Yomo constituency, and take the NDC's Chirpone constituency. And the NDC loses 2, but can only get 1.
Yeah.
And so they have 2 at the end of it all. They only got Nalerugu Gambaga.
Very fascinating. And one of the things that shocked a lot of people.
So they actually lost two of those and gained two.
They
lost their three. Sorry, they lost their three and gained two from
them. They were displaced from
all their seats.
But then they go into the MPP's places and took some in there. But Alima Mahama, local government minister, has fallen. Has fallen to Seydou Issoufou.
Yeah.
That, as our reporter just said, big shock in the area because of her formidability of her candidature in the area, but she's lost.
Yeah, she's lost. But Evans, you see, I remember, I think the first time Haji Alima Mahama contested was in 2000. Yes, 2000. She lost in 2000 and won in 2004. Lost, in 2008. Comes back and wins it in 2016, and she's losing it again. Now, happenings in her constituency, and you remember the member of the NPP who was sacked, and he also lost his position as Deputy Director General of NADMO. Look, when someone assists you politically, the last thing you want to do for that person is to make him feel unwelcome.
Okay.
Because they are the people on the ground. Sometimes sometimes politicians would want to create the impression that they are the ones who win elections. No. You may have the personality, but people would campaign for you. So while you are out there and you think you are the reason why you're winning, there are people who are on the grounds campaigning for you. And so if those people feel unhappy and they decide to withdraw their support, some of your supporters are so powerful that they take thousands away. And that's why we've seen that in some instances, people go independent and they're able to cost their party. We've seen it in Fomena. We've seen it in other areas. It almost happened in Techiman South, where the independent candidate pulled over 25,000 votes.
Nearly displacing
Meku Duka.
Yeah.
So that's what has happened in Hajia's case.
So this is a powerful, but another story we need to tell when you are in this part of the country, in the Northeast, is Baomia's factor.
Exactly.
Right? So Baomia might have saved the president, but, well, in the eventual picture, Alima Mahama couldn't rub off the Baomia gold dust. However, if you go, I want to see what the presidential picture looks like, right? I want to flip this a bit and look at the presidential picture, whether it reflects the same. Same.
It does.
Same.
It does. Yeah.
The president wins in all the areas where the parliamentary candidates won.
Yeah.
So Baomia has given the president, some. And remember, this is an area that is traditionally NDC.
It was, but Evans, when we're looking at the numbers,
the analysis,
yes, analysis on. Election Eve.
Is it the area where stronghold into
swing?
Into swing.
So it was stronghold, and then in 2016, the NPP flips it.
Yeah.
And we said that
for the first time,
going into this election, the momentum was on the part of the NPP, and they've taken advantage of it.
Yeah.
And there you are.
When you're a political analyst, if you get your predictions right, it's so exciting. Every single prediction we said has panned out.
Exactly.
That we said, again, I haven't seen it before when we were analyzing this on Sunday evenings, election eve. I haven't seen it before where a region that used to be a stronghold, powerful, and at the time in 1996 when we were starting the analysis from, the margins were huge. We're talking about 60% gap. Start from 60% and to win it in 2016, where the upward trajectory, the steepness of the climb became sharper in 2008 when Baomia stepped on the scene, to flip it from a pure, solid, ironclad stronghold to win it was miraculous. And then, we said we threw in the possibility of this momentum being broken in 2020 and said, well, listen, sometimes you can have the momentum and still fall off. It's panned out.
And that was because
exactly what we predicted.
And that was because in 2006, a lot of things happened. They didn't happen well. They didn't turn out well for the NDC. And so you were expecting that, having lost grounds in 2016 and seeking to win the 2020 elections, the NDC would go back to its 2012 performance. But
it didn't happen.
But that didn't happen.
You kept saying, go back to 2012, go back to 2012. But Baomia is formidable.
Very formidable.
Won the region for the first time. You can't say him alone because there are many other factors. But we say he is the most obvious factor.
He is.
Right? He's not the only factor, but the most important, significant factor in this. And so for the second election year running, they have won it in this particular part of the country.
And one other thing they've done, let's go to the northern region.
Okay.
That would also show.
Yes, let's do the northern region.
That would also show the
Martina
factor.
Martina, who's standing by with us from the northern region. Here we go. So this is
the northern region.
Northern region. Okay, no, we can rather go to Natalia, who is in the
Western region.
Western region right now. And so let me pull that up for you. So Western region is here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to whether our prediction...
We've actually gone for
Western North, whether our prediction came to pass, had borne some real positive fruits in the Western region as well, because we had said that we're expecting that to be a swing.
A swing.
Okay. And so let's see.
There you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hello, Ina. I'm looking at a picture on my wall right now. On the ground, what does this picture say in terms of the actual numbers?
Well, Evans, the Western region have 17 constituencies. So for what we have right now from the pink sheet, we know that the NDC has 8 constituencies, whilst the NPP have 9 constituencies. We talk about Accra, the NPP's minister, member of parliament, and also the regional minister, Governor Chedako, won that seat. When you go to second, the Andrews Ejapa-Mercy had that seat against the NDC candidates. We go to Ms. Kado Keten, where earlier on 7th December, there were bone of contention between the supporters of Joe Gatti and then Dr. Grace Ayesu. And then when you go to Mpoho, Ahanta West, Shama, those seats were won by the NPP. But when you go to the 3 Amenfis, that is Amenfi East, West, and Central, the NDC took the seats. When you go to Prestia, Oni Valley, where the Minister for Tourism, Barbara Tinjesi, had that seat last year. This time around, she lost it to the NDC. When you go to Evaledra, Ajomoro, Katrina Blema, Afeku, she lost that seat to the NDC. And then Jomoro, Paul Asian also lost that seat to Dorcas Afotofe. And when you come to Wasa East, Wilson Atta, who has been contesting the NDC PC over there, lost again this time around. When you go to Elembele, Bonzoke lost to Emmanuel Amakofibua this time around too.
So in a story, it's a great one because it's showing on our screens there. Ina, tell me what are some of the biggest surprises in the Western region so far? I mean, having watched it.
Well, Evans, there seems to be no actual surprises. It would have been a big of surprise if what the supporters of Grace Ayesu were claiming on Monday night that they had won. I think earlier we did report on that case where there was chaos at Esikado, where they were claiming they had won the seat because Joe Gatti had taken that seat for 16 years. And so if indeed, he was overthrown by the NDC. It would have been one of the biggest surprise for the region. Notwithstanding, Evans, I must say that the NDC pulling agents for Eskado Ketten refused to sign the pink sheet, but the EC went ahead to declare it. I understand very well that the same thing is happening at Wasa East, where the NPP pulling agent has also refused to sign the pink sheet.
Okay.
And then when you go to Techiman South, the margin between the NDC candidate and that of the NPP was not that huge. It was just a little, I think, under 100. And when you look at the independent candidates, Joyce Lenando, she did pull quite a lot of votes over there. That's a big deal. And then when you go to Prestia Honi Valley, for instance, from what I have heard, I think one of the issues that did not favor the MPP was the issue of Galamsey over there. And in Evaluatora, I think it's something they do every 4 years. They do change the member of parliament. So that is what is happening.
Very much. A great story. And the Techiman South one is a very interesting one, of course. Winston, these are the numbers. NDC 8, MPP 9 seats in the Western region.